I'm hearing from a number of you on social media. I love hearing from you, so keep sending me your messages if you can. And
they're switching from Honda and Toyota, switching from Nissan and Hyundai. Car buyers all over South Florida are switching to Volkswagen, and with good reason. Volkswagen has more features than ever, now with available access to your smartphone apps right on your dash, plus backup camera, blind spot monitoring, and more. And this week, every new Volkswagen is at huge once-a-year savings during our model year-end clearance sale. So make the switch to affordable German engineering in a Volkswagen.
On where you are.
Well, it's extremely windy. We're actually by a building that's blocking a lot of the wind, so this is the force. What you're seeing right now is what's coming through despite having that building right next to us. You know, we'd talked to a lot of people about because we were in downtown Miami earlier and we were really actually getting knocked around, and it's just like Maribel said, we had been out since about midnight. The wind has been strong since we got out earlier this morning. But like Maribel said, those wind gusts can come as a surprise, even to us. We were expecting this, but not expecting it quite so early. We were out at about 4 a.m. this morning, and we had about a 50 to 60 mile per hour wind that nearly knocked both me and my photographer off our feet. So that just tells you how sudden this can happen, how surprising it can be even to us. Right now, hard to tell because we've got this building blocking us. We're actually right outside the studios where we came to take shelter and try to be safe from the storm. But you can see the trees here. This is just outside of our studio in Doral here. Even down on the ground here in the parking lot, there's a lot of debris, a lot of tree limbs that are down. There are palm fronds that are all over the road. We just watched a piece of siding earlier this morning that came off part of our building, so there already is damage out and about from this storm.
Yeah, we can hear the wind here in the studio. We can definitely hear it. So to get a visual of that is helpful for everyone who's kind of inside, not going outside, paying attention to the warnings. That's why we have our team of reporters to give you those visuals if you're curious about what's going on outside.
Rielle, you said you were blown off your feet. Describe for us what that was like.
Well, I'll tell you because I've never experienced anything like that before. And it came as a surprise. I knew it would be windy. We've been standing out there for a good while. We had been doing live hits all morning. We were actually in downtown Miami to cover some flooding that was down there on Biscayne Boulevard. And we moved up just away. And before we got out there, we could feel that our live truck was rocking a little bit, but it was nothing extreme. But then it came literally out of nowhere. I was talking and a gust of wind blew in, blew me back. I felt like I couldn't actually keep myself steady for a moment and get my balance. I was actually trying to come back to let everybody know that I was fine and that we weren't injured in any way, but it was a pretty extreme experience, I will tell you that.
Who are you working with? Who's your photographer?
It's Brian Shanahan, who
okay.
was also lost his balance and then actually lost the camera in the process.
I think it's important for viewers to know every time you see a reporter on the air, he or she is working with a photojournalist as well who is behind the camera, also braving the same kinds of conditions as the reporters are. And I just want people to know that you're working in teams, and so just because you see a reporter doesn't mean that the reporter is sort of standing by herself. She's out there with someone who is also doing very difficult work in order to bring us these pictures and help us cover this story.
And Rielle, you said you were driving around downtown Miami today. Can you describe some of the flooding situation you saw there earlier?
Well, it was pretty early when we were down there. There was definitely some fairly significant flooding. I'm not going to say it was really heavy flooding, but I'm going to say it was about 3 to 4 inches of flooding that we encountered over on Southeast First, right at Southeast First. It was right by the Intercontinental Hotel. I know that there are some infrastructure issues that cause flooding routinely in parts of Miami, but from what other people tell me, that's not an area that commonly floods, and certainly not like that. And this was pretty early on in the night before we had been getting some of those heavier bands of rain. So the rain has actually picked up significantly since we were out there. We were also seeing, like I said, lots of downed trees. There was a tree down. We were getting off 395. The exit to Biscayne was almost completely blocked by a large tree that had come down in the wind. And even as we were driving back to get back to safety, get back to cover and take shelter, we were seeing all of these green flashes of lights in the background all around the city, which we can only assume, are transformers that are exploding. and that there are quite a few people that are probably without power at this moment.
Rielle and her cameraman Brian, be safe out there. Stay on your feet, please, and we'll check back with you in a little bit. Let's go to Fort Lauderdale now, and this is an area we have seen some very serious wind gusts there, and of course there are a lot of high rises in Fort Lauderdale, especially towards the beach. A lot of people who are hunkered down and a lot of people who are without power right now. Hank Tester with more on the conditions in Fort Lauderdale. He filed this report.
We're at the Westin Hotel in Fort Lauderdale, early morning. Take a look out there. The winds are not too bad. However, earlier this morning we had a pretty good feeder band through this area, and it kicked things up pretty good. You can see palm fronds are down and so on. But as far as any damage in this particular area, no problem whatsoever. Pardon me, those tornadoes that we covered yesterday, the mayor of Fort Lauderdale telling CBS 4 News no damage because of that. And so that's good. I just tell you right now, I mean, things right in this area are status quo. But let me also caution you, in the hurricane coverage, this is a time where there's a lot of doubt. Don't know what's going on. First responders, officials, media hasn't had a chance to get out and really take a look and see what the situation is. As soon as we get out of here, we will go on patrol and see if we can get you some information about what we have as far as damage in the area. Here we go with another little blast of fresh air this morning, if you will. Hasn't been a lot of rain in this particular area, and the interesting thing is power has continued to be on. Looking out from my hotel room, you can to the north of here in the city area, you can see that there are lights on. And I was a little worried this morning when I got in the elevator. I went, oh, why didn't I book on the second floor? So I'm on the 8th floor. And what happens if electricity goes out when I'm going down? Oh. So, you know, those are things you kind of think about after the fact. So basically, what we'll try and do is get over towards where we were yesterday. I doubt if they're going to let us get onto the barrier island to check and see what the situation is out there, but if we can, we will. Our plan is to drive around a bit and continue to feed you what we call these look lives, which are on video, and then we'll get our live component going here a little bit later in the day. Just a quick word, Key West used to cover down there a lot. Heart goes out to those people, and you know, it's funny when you get into these situations, you tend to sometimes focus on one thing. In Ernest Hemingway's house in Key West, on the second floor, I know exactly where it is a plate that was done by Pablo Picasso. They were friends. And that plate is absolutely spectacular. And I've just been fixating on, I hope it's okay. You know, it's those little things like that that you think about when, even though there's a big picture going on, you know, so Godspeed to those folks. Hopefully not too many people stayed. Anyway, our situation here, just fine. We'll be jumping around, getting into the backs of buildings, getting away from the wind and the rain. So far, it seems like a dry storm up this way, and we'll get out there and see what we can do for you today and get some more of these reports. Heading your way. That's the very latest from Fort Lauderdale. I'm Hank Tester, CBS 4.
Thanks very much. Talking about a Picasso, you know, we all have little treasures that we care about, not necessarily priceless ones like that at the Hemingway house, but still a lot of people taking care of things that are meaningful to them, family heirlooms, photo albums, things that just cannot be replaced. And so we certainly hope that when all of this is all done, people have been able to hang on to those things.
And we talk about treasures, and I can't help but think about how the Keys is really, they're a treasure of Florida and of the country, really.
A treasure in and of
special,
itself.
Unique place.
For sure. Let's take a look outside. We have a live picture from I-95. This is Southwest 10th, and you can just see that the I-95, which ordinarily on a Sunday morning around 10 o'clock would have a lot of traffic right now, even on a Sunday, just completely dead. There is nobody out there, and that is a good thing. But you can see the roadways covered in a lot of water, just not safe for driving right now. I'm trying to read what that sign says.
I think it says shelter, something about sheltering into place.
Yeah, the camera is a little wobbly, obviously because of the weather conditions. But there have been signs all over. If you're watching us from somewhere outside of South Florida or outside of the state of Florida, all the highways here, the tolls have been suspended for days now. The governor suspended the tolls statewide in order to make evacuations easier for everybody. And so as you've driven around the roadways here, whether it's 95 or 75 or wherever you are, we've been seeing these signs that say that the tolls have been suspended by order of the governor, and there is one vehicle on the road there. It looks like it's out there braving the elements. We certainly hope that driver only has a short distance to go, because it's really not safe to be out on the highway right now.
Yeah, we hope that driver is okay. All right, meteorologist Lisette Gonzalez is in with us. Got a little bit of rest and is back forecasting for us.
Hi, Lisette.
Rudabeh. And I'm glad to hear you all got a little bit of rest too, because obviously we have been tracking Irma for days, and now we're in it, and now we are going to see even worse weather as we head throughout the next 4 to 6 hours. And as we take a look at the radar, Hurricane Irma did make landfall at 9:10 a.m. at Cudjoe Key, and that's in the lower Keys, with 130-mile-per-hour winds, and still seeing that eye wall is just battering parts of the lower Keys, including Key West, Big Pine Key, Marathon. Look at these dark shades of red. That's where we are seeing likely the most destructive winds and the heaviest rain and dangerous lightning here wrapping around the eye wall. And then we are seeing it is slowly lifting to the north and west, but really all the Keys right now getting slammed with these squalls, and really the most destructive part of the hurricane, the core, as we expected, as was forecast by the National Hurricane Center and the models, it is we're going to see the potential for some spin in the atmosphere and also dangerous tornadoes. So we'll, of course, let you know when we see any warnings issued. But look at Palm Beach County, Broward County. Force wind gusts, and that is also the case for most of Miami-Dade County. I'm seeing on social media friends and family reaching out, viewers talking about all the downed trees, the power lines. And we'll see some more rain on the way, and it looks like we're going to be dealing with these feeder bands setting up, which could lead to some flooding, so that is an increasing threat. Look at the sustained winds right wind gusts. So in Deerfield Beach, we're seeing the wind gusting to 85 miles per hour. In Fort Lauderdale, right around Broward Boulevard and I-95, wind gusts of 80. That I want to share with you. In Kendall, winds gusting as high as 74 miles per hour. Fort Lauderdale Beach 80, Coconut Grove 82 miles per hour, Davie 75 miles per hour.